So the final part of Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's Cornetto Trilogy is finally upon us. The World's End is the name of the movie. This is the final part of the trilogy, which started with Shaun of the Dead quite a few years ago now. The second part was Hot Fuzz, and now here comes the World's End. Now, this is a film that obviously expectation was high. I had really high expectations going into this movie because I absolutely love what these guys have done before. I think Shaun of the Dead is a modern classic. Hot Fuzz was also really good, and they've also created one of the best television sitcoms in history, I believe, and that's Spaced, that they did on Channel 4 quite a few years ago. So I was really excited to see this movie, but I was a little bit worried because I honestly thought that the trailer to this movie looked pretty bad. If I'm being completely honest, I looked at the trailer to this film and I thought it looks like Attack the Block. Now, you guys may know about my opinion on Attack the Block, that I thought it was an above average film, although I hated the main characters. But in terms of style and tone, the trailer to The World's End looked very similar, so I was a little bit worried. Having said that, I shouldn't have been worried. I had nothing to worry about in this film. Now, the plot essentially follows a group of 30-something guys who grew up together and went through high school together, the lead of which is Gary King, played by Simon Pegg. Now, when they were in high school, I believe it was like the last day of school, they tried an attempt at what's called the Golden Mile, where it was a pub crawl through 12 pubs in their hometown. And at the beginning of the film, you know, shows flashbacks and sort of sets up the characters and the history of the Golden Mile. And needless to say, they didn't accomplish it back when they were kids. So now that they're all in their 30s, Simon Pegg's character decides to get all the guys back together to go and do the Golden Mile once and for all. Now, one of the reasons I was sort of a bit worried about this is that I don't particularly like the sort of piss-up pub crawl comedies, but again, needn't have worried. So essentially, it establishes very early on that Simon Pegg's character has never grown up and never matured past the guy he was, you know, when they first attempted the Golden Mile. That much is clear from the beginning, whereas all his friends, played by Nick Frost, Eddie Marsan and Paddy Considine, I think is that everyone? I want to say that's everyone. Am I missing anyone? But yeah, so those guys have all, you know, grown up, they've got families and you know, sort of important jobs. They've obviously progressed in different companies and they're doing quite well for themselves. Whereas Simon Pegg is in what appears to be some sort of mental institution or slash hospital or maybe even rehab. So, yeah, he decides to get them all back together and try the Golden Mile. So, immediately what sort of struck me about this film is that the dynamic between Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's character are very much reversed. In the previous two movies, Simon Pegg is the very sort of straight-faced, straight-laced character, whereas Nick Frost is the fuck-up. And it's reversed in this, and I thought that was quite an interesting, you know, for fans of the established dynamic through the other two movies, you know, it's quite fun and interesting to see the roles reversed like that. So I enjoyed that. What I want to say about this movie is I absolutely loved it. Now, it's not as instantly quotable and because as Shaun of the Dead was. Now, Shaun of the Dead, when I first saw that for the first time, you know, I left that movie and the dialogue stuck with me, and to this day, me and my friends, you know, all quote Shaun of the Dead, and it is really a modern classic. This film isn't as instantly, you know, it doesn't click with you quite the same way that Shaun of the Dead did, but it's a grower. Now, this film's been out for a while now, and I've not reviewed it until now because I haven't been very well. Had a bit of trouble with my ears and stuff and didn't feel like being on camera, so I've had chance to sort of sit and think about The World's End, and I have to say it's very much a grower. I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked it. I really liked it the first time I saw it in the cinema. As I was leaving, I was like, that was really impressive, I really like it. But it's a film I think I appreciate more the more I think about it, the more it's certainly a film you have to digest, because while it is, you know, it does have a couple of belly laughs in it, it has the sort of, you know, actiony science fiction bits that you've seen in the trailer, done very well. It has all that, but what this film does really well is the smaller stuff. The dynamic between the friends. Now, a friend of mine, the Lucha Media Geek, here on YouTube, has already reviewed this and said that it will definitely work for people of a certain age. Now, I found this to work for me and quite relatable in some friendships or should I say friendships that no longer exist. I could certainly see myself and, you know, my high school friends in this group of people. And I mean, I'm in my 20s. I can't imagine this film is going to resonate quite as well with teenagers, but I think people in the 20s and 30s will definitely get something from this. I know it really worked for the Lucha Media Geek. And so the dynamic between all the friends is very realistic. It's very sort of grounded. It's very relatable. Everybody has that friend who's not grown up, you know, or is refusing to sort of mature and admit, you know, who they are and all the rest of it. Everybody knows somebody like that. And that becomes more and more apparent as you grow up. So I found the characters to be very relatable. I in no way found Simon Pegg's character as hateable as I was expecting to. It was really good, actually, because Simon Pegg, all the way through, is a dick, but you can't help but like him, because they do enough with the character, and I don't want to spoil the sort of smaller character beats, but they do enough with the character to show that underneath, this guy is a nice guy. You know, he's a good person, but he's made some shit choices and he's immature, and you sort of want to slap him. But you do still stick with him. There is even a line towards the end of the movie where Nick Frost says, you know, I would have followed you to the end of the world, and I have. You know, and you definitely feel that relationship with the character. You know, you want to hate him, but you can't. And I think that's a testament to Simon Pegg's performance, because not everybody can take a sort of unlikable character and make you love them and hate them at the same time. So that was really good. I thought everybody in this was good. Paddy Considine, unfortunately, wasn't given an awful lot to do. I mean, Paddy Considine, who was in LaDoncan Scorsese and Dead Man's Shoes, the Bourne Ultimatum, he was in one of them. He's one of my favourite actors. I love Paddy Considine. He was in The Suspicions of Mr. Witcher as well. Unfortunately, he wasn't given an awful lot to do. However, his character, you know, was given enough to make you care. The standout, though, in this movie had to be Eddie Marsan. Now, this is the guy who played the villain in the film that Paddy Considine directed, either last year or the year before, Tyrannosaur, which, fantastic, go see it if you haven't. Eddie Marsan was great in this because he always plays the creepy, loser, horrible dick, and he was playing probably the most likeable character in the film, and he was great. There is a monologue he gives probably halfway through the movie before all the alien robots turn up, that is heartbreaking, brought a tear to my eye. Eddie Marsan was brilliant. The other guy I couldn't remember was Martin Freeman. I like Martin Freeman, despite his sort of off-screen antics regarding sort of the taxman and stuff. I like him as an actor. I like him in Sherlock. I liked him in this, and I thought actually Martin Freeman was sort of a lot better in this than I was expecting. I expected him to be the real sort of button-down, straight-laced person, but his performance, he's given a bit more to do, and he did really well. It's almost, the thing is, you love the characters and find them so interesting that it's almost a shame when the robots turn up. Having said that, though, this film wins the prize for the most crazy and inventive fight scene of the year. And this is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but a robot girl puts two bloody legs for arms and spins them around like this, and she takes on Simon Pegg and and his sort of love interest character. And the fight scene's great. And the thing is, you compare the fight scenes in this to the fight scenes in Shaun of the Dead, and a lot more accomplished. Obviously, they're bound to be. Edgar Wright's made a few films since then. What struck me, though, was that this is definitely a post-Scott Pilgrim versus the World Edgar Wright movie. The action scenes in this, stylistically, reminded me quite a bit of what he did in Scott Pilgrim, which is great, because I love Scott Pilgrim. So it's definitely a very sort of polished and more accomplished film from a filmmaking standpoint. And it is certainly a film that sticks with you. And as I said, it's got a couple of belly laughs in it. You get almost all the way to the end wondering how they're going to tie in the Cornetto gag, which is in every movie. And I will say, I'm not going to ruin where the Cornetto comes into it, but the Cornetto made me actually laugh out loud. I think quite loudly in the cinema. I thought it was hysterical. So this movie, it's going to be in my top 10 of the year. I came out of the film and I was like, I really enjoyed that. A few days later, I'm thinking, that was fucking great. I loved it. It's a grower. There's a lot there to digest in terms of characters, of narrative. There's a lot of subtle touches to it that character beats, that is, that, you know, makes it very human and very relatable. It's the most mature of Edgar Wright's movies, I would say. It's definitely thematically, it's very much about male friendship, trying to maintain a male friendship, the end of the male friendship, and it's something that I think all guys, you know, probably aged 20 and above, will be able to relate to this in some way, and I think that's why it sort of touched me as much as it did. I know it really worked for Sam. I loved this movie, and I could sit here and talk about it all day, but I'm not going to. I would definitely recommend you go see it. For those of you who have not seen the other Cornetto films, go back and watch Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. If you have seen those and you haven't seen Spaced, and go and watch Spaced, track down a copy of Spaced, because you will see so much from this film in Spaced. I really enjoyed it. It's one of the best of the year so far.